All right, y'all, welcome back. We are here today talking about cord cutting. Cord cutting. Okay, this is a very important class. I think this is something that everyone should incorporate into their spiritual practice, into their personal practice, so that they can be able to detach either permanently or temporarily from people, places, things, situations, relationships, connections, whatever it is that you need to be detached from. Again, whether it's permanent or whether it's temporary. So during this class, you're going to have to definitely use your gifts and your talents that we talked about in previous classes, especially when we talk about using your creative imagination. We talk about using your mind to do this process, right? This cord cutting process. So your clairvoyance, your imagination is going to be really, really, really big when it comes to cord cutting. Okay. Imagination is really going to be key to this. Okay. So first, before we get started, first I want to ask you to tell yourself to ground. If you remember the grounding class, right? We're going to ground, meaning allowing your root chakra, your legs to be connected to the earth. You can imagine roots coming from the leg into the ground or whatever method you choose. Okay. You want to ground. And as your root chakra, your legs, your feet are connected to the earth. We also want divine light to come in to the top of the head and let divine light go from the top and go all the way down to the bottom of your feet. I like to look at grounding as like an energy, spiritual rinse. Okay, meaning what's happening is as you're grounding, you're releasing the energy that you don't need, and then you're allowing that to be replaced with divine light. So again, take some time at this time to go ahead and ground yourself, and actually feel it. When you tell yourself, let's ground, you can use your imagination, see the roots, see the feet in the earth, see the roots connecting to the earth, feel it in your body as you ground, okay? You should almost feel like a pulling sensation, like a slight pulling downward sensation as energy is being released through the feet and legs into the earth. Now, simultaneously, I want you to think of a bright light coming in through the top of your head and then making its way all the way down through those roots, through your legs, through your feet, into the earth. Now, just to remind you, like we said in the previous class of grounding, grounding is very important when you do inner work, okay? Because when you're doing inner work, there can be emotions that surface. And so the best way to handle it is to be grounded so that when those emotions do arise, it doesn't kind of throw you off or put you in a frantic state. Okay. Stabilizes your energy, it centers you. Okay. Grounding, very important. All right. So next thing we want to do, just like we've done in the previous classes, call protection over your mind and your inner self. We did inner self last week, so we want to call protection on our mind and our inner self. Okay. When doing cord cutting, it's important to have protection over your inner self again, because when we're talking about cord cutting, it can also be cords being released from your inner self. So you want to make sure that your inner self is protected from any other energies that may be around you that can infiltrate your space, your inner space. Okay. So call protection on your inner self as well as your mind. Ashe. And then just like we do, we feel the protection as it's being done until we feel comfortable and we get that intuition, that nudge that we can go ahead to the next step. Okay, so you should be feeling that by now. If you're watching the replay, anything we do, you just pause it, feel it, and then when you're ready, you unpause and then you keep going. Okay, next thing we want to do is clear and quiet your mind. Again, we're going to do this together because by now, our higher self works a little bit faster with us with these commands. So when you command for your mind to be cleared and quieted, it should be able to happen simultaneously instead of separating the steps. So at this time, command that your mind be cleared and quieted, Ashe. And again, feel it as it happens. Okay, then after our mind is quiet and cleared, the next thing we want to do is fill our mind with light or connect your mind to the vortex of light. Okay, vortex of light is going to feel a lot stronger, but if you feel comfortable doing it, go ahead and do that. If not, you can just simply command that your mind be filled with light. Ashe? So as that light enters your mind or you connect to that vortex of light, you should be feeling lighter. You should be feeling like maybe even a cooling sensation. You may even feel some tingling sensations where you need light. Okay. And so if everybody's good, give me a thumbs up. I'll see the little thumb emojis come up and I know we're ready to go to the next part. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Seems like we're good. Okay, so let's talk about what a chord is so that you understand the just the basis of what a chord is. So some people call them ethereal chords, right? So these are like spiritual chords that are invisible, meaning you can't see them with the with the eyes, but there's like a connection. A chord can be also looked at like a fiber cable. So let's say you have a TV that's connected to like a DVD player, if anybody use that anymore, but I'll get what I'm saying. So you got a TV connected to a DVD player or a video game or whatever. For that connection to happen, there has to be a cord that plugs into one end, and then the other cord plugs into the TV. So then that connection is established between the two devices, and then data, right? Fiber, energy, data can flow from one end to the next, from one device to the other device, right? Or in some cases, it could be a plug where you plug in a wall to bring power to something, meaning there's a one end, there's a plug that goes into the wall to the power source. And then on the other end, there's something that goes to the electronic device that brings power to it. It's a power cord, right? So energetically, there can also be cords that work the same way. You can have a connection or a cord to something or someone that also shares energy back and forth. Okay. And that includes emotional, that includes energetic, spiritually, mental, right? These are all type of things that can flow through cords. Good energy, bad energy, love, light, darkness, right? These anything can flow through these cords depending on how the connection is set up and depending on the type of energy that's on either side of the cord. Okay. So the way that you can know that you have something that you're corded to is because you will typically receive information about it, or the other end will receive information maybe about you. So, for example, let's say you are having thoughts about someone during the day, just random times, or maybe you have random thoughts about dreams or about people in dreams. That can mean that there's a cord still, attached to you uh, between you and the other person. It can also mean that cord can be good, that cord can be bad, that cord can be indifferent. It could be reminding you of a memory. Um, it could be anything that cord is there. It's just letting you know the cord is there. I can't get this person off my mind, or the person keeps popping up in my dreams because there's some type of cord that's still connected. Now, let me make sure I say a disclaimer. Not all the time will somebody in your dream deal with a cord. Sometimes that can be your spirit guides showing you something about that person or the connection with them that you've had in the past for a lesson, right? So it doesn't always mean that there's a cord if somebody shows up in your dream. It could be a lesson for something that you need to know. Okay. Want to make sure that's clear. Okay. So chords again. I'm gonna use my little stick figures here to kind of demonstrate about these chords. Okay. So cords can be attached between people, places, things, situations, and relationships, or thoughts and ideas, and then even more things, right? Most time when you hear about cord cutting, it typically deals with people. Cut the cord from people that you no longer need, cut the cord from people that are toxic. Those are typically like the posts that I see. What I don't typically see are the posts that says cut the cords from items that you no longer need, that you may be holding on to. Cut the cords with situations that don't serve you, relationships that don't serve you. Um, Cut the cords with an idea that could be causing you damage, but you're still holding on to that idea. Cut the cord on it. Let that thought go. Let those thoughts go. You can have a cord to a thought. And remember, memory and thoughts also hold energy, right? Just because they're in the mind don't mean they don't hold energy. So you might have a thought that you need to cut a cord to let that thought go to release the energy of it. Okay. So when you think of cords, remember it's not just to people. It can be to anything. You can have a cord between you and your job, your work. Okay. So keep that in mind. So you get home, and then all of a sudden you're still feeling the energy from work because you still got a cord attached to it. Maybe to the building, maybe to the place. So with people, we're gonna start with people. Okay. So we're gonna get into the chakra class later in the week. But just think of you got two people, and those two people can have, they're gonna have their seven chakras, main chakras. You also have organs and limbs, you got skin, your body. Cords can be attached between people in many different parts, right? And they can be attached with certain intentions or with certain energies to them. So I'm going to cover a few just to give you an idea, and then you'll be able to use your own imagination and your own thoughts to see of other type of chords that you may be attached to that you may want to release. Okay. So, for example, let's say one chord can be a parent-child relationship chord. And these are some chords that are kind of like more permanent, right? So you got some chords that are permanent, and then you have some that are kind of temporary. Meaning, if you got a parent-child relationship, that's going to be a permanent chord, and that's usually going to be attached to probably root or heart chakra to heart chakra, and probably also root chakra to root chakra, right? Because that deals with family, foundation, and then of course, family usually is corded in the heart chakra as well, right? So this is more like a permanent chord, right? Sometimes if you're in a marriage or if you're in a intimate relationship with somebody, that can be a cord. If you are in a sexual relationship with someone, that can also be a cord, right? There's a such thing as a sexual relationship, a sexual cord that people have between each other. Okay, there are mental cords, meaning like there's a mental connection between you and another person. So this is kind of like where the dreams may come in, okay, or where the thoughts of that person may come in. Okay, you may have a cord in the throat, and that cord can deal with uh, your communication with them. Like you like talking to them, you like having good conversations with them, or it could be a bad cord, meaning like there's a cord there, but it's a cord that you don't like. It's like I don't like talking to this person. It doesn't matter if the situation is good or bad. If there's a connection, whether good or bad, there's going to be a cord there. And so either good energy is going to flow through these cords, or it's going to be bad energy flowing through these cords. Or it could just be neutral. It could be something neutral. Maybe a neutral cord can be like a coworker. I go to work, I do my job, you do yours, and that's our connection. So we'll use the solar plexus because that's like abundance, and root chakra because that's the job foundation. So you might have a neutral cord between you and a coworker. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Now, if you and that coworker got some issues, still core, but you might have some bad energy flowing through it. So same thing applies to places, things, situations, thoughts, and ideas. The same thing applies. Okay. Now I want to add a little bit more to chords that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about, and that's when that chord enters. It don't just chord from one spot to the next. That chord can then weave into other parts of you. Okay. That cord can weave into other parts of you. So let me give you an example. So let's say you have a person that you're dealing with, whether it's on a friendship or intimate level, whatever, right? You're dealing with. You can have a cord from your heart chakra to their heart chakra if there's love in that situation. But you may also like some other things y'all do together. So let's say the other things y'all do together is y'all play games. Y'all play video games together, right? So now that cord enters the heart chakra and then it cords to the crown chakra in the third eye. So now that cord is here and attached here. Same cord, but now it's also attached to the third eye and the crown chakra. And then if y'all as y'all get close over time, you maybe become more intimate. So now this cord also comes back with chakra, right? So now this one cord is inside attached to all these different parts of you as time goes by. So as time goes by, one cord can then split off inside of the body, inside of the spiritual body, the mind, and the emotional body, and the chakras. It can split off into other parts and attach. So when we talk about cord cutting, those who have known me for a while know I like to not necessarily cut the cords, but I like to also pull the cord. Pull it, not just cut it, but pull it. So let me demonstrate why. If you have a cord, right, and you have all of this cord still going on inside, once you cut the cord, it will stop the flow of energy, right? So I cut it here in the middle. The flow of energy is no longer flowing between. But if you look, the remnants of the cord is still here, here, here. So the cord is still attached to other places inside, grounding, releasing other people's energy, doing like an empath cleanse. This is where this all comes in because you need to release the rest of the cord that connected to you. So if I cut the cord again, it'll stop the flow of energy, but it doesn't do anything about the remnants of the energy. Now, over time, you will find that the remnants of those cords will eventually start to dissipate on its own, right? But if this is a connection that you want to not only cut, but also release the rest of the energy, I would recommend that you pull the cord and think of it as like pulling it from the inside out or pulling it until the whole cord is completely all the way out of the body. So if my hand is the body and there's the cord inside, right? Again, if I cut this cord, the rest of the cord still is inside of my body, okay? If I pull the cord out, then I pull it all the way out. I mean, I'm pulling it from every connection inside of me that is tied to. So I'm pulling the cord, I'm pulling the cord, I'm pulling the cord, pulling the cord, boom. There's no more cord left inside of me because I pulled the cord all the way out. Nothing left. And then I just have to now just ground myself and release the rest of the energy that was associated with the cord. Okay. So if you hear me say pulling cords versus cutting cords, this is why I say pull the cords versus cut. Okay. Now you can still cut. You can still think of cutting. Okay. It still works. But if you want to make sure you pull those cords deeply, like get rid of the whole cord, imagine pulling the cord out versus just cutting it. Okay. Keep that in mind. All right. So ways to cut cords or pull cords, methods, okay? Some simple methods is going to be like candles, because cord cutting is always going to be set by intentions, right? You put your intentions, and then based on your intentions, that's how you read the cord, okay? It's always going to be based on intentions, okay? You always set your intentions first on what cords you want to cut or pull before you do it, and then you pick your method on how you want to do it, right? Just make sure you put your intentions to dissolve the entire cord, and wherever it's attached to, the entire cord, okay? So one way could be a candle method. You get a candle, light a candle. You may not need a full candle to do it unless you feel like you need to. But I like using tea lights for stuff like that. A tea light. A tea light to me is big enough to cut, or dissolve. Because you can also say dissolve. You don't have to say cut. You can also say dissolve, and that'll dissolve it from the inside as well. Erase is another word you can use to erase the entire cord, just making the cord disappear. So you can use a tea light. These are the bigger ones that I got from IKEA. These are typically the normal size tea lights, but they sell these bigger ones at IKEA if you have one. So I like to use these, and they actually burn a long time. They burn like, I want to say, like 8 or 10 hours. They burn a long time, these ones. So that's one method. And the method I do usually when I'm using a tea light or a candle is I might write my cord pulling, cord erasing, cord dissolving intentions on a paper, put it underneath, or you can, you know, be safe if you don't want to do that. You can just put it near it. You write your intentions, put the candle near it, and then do it like that. Whichever way is safe, okay? But that's typically how I do it. I usually just either put it on top or put it next to it, and I have my intentions written down, right? Another way you could do it is through prayer or through affirmations, where you light it or you speak your intentions before you light it or after you light it, however you feel, and then you can light it. And then just make sure when you speak your intentions, just like with everything else, you feel it, right? Before you walk away from it. So if I want to use a tea light and I said, I want to dissolve all cords between me and this dry erase marker, Ashe. And then I will sit and I will feel it. And this is what you're feeling for. This is very important. This is very important. What you are feeling for is you're feeling where the cords is attached to you inside of the body. That's what you're feeling for. Okay. So if I say I want to dissolve, burn, cut, erase all cords between me and this dry erase marker, and then I sit and I feel it in my stomach and I feel it in my heart, I say, oh, that's where the energy of this dry erase marker is affecting me. It's affecting my heart chakra and it's affecting my solar plexus chakra. So not only now do I get to feel where the energy of that cord is attached to me at, I also get to feel how that energy feels, right? So if I feel that energy attached to my heart chakra and my solar plexus, and it feels very icky or just it makes me feel uneasy, oh, that's not good energy. Dang. So maybe that's why my stomach was hurting. Hmm. Maybe that's why I keep having this off and on chest pain. See? So that's why I say feel it when you do it, because your body will tell you what part of you these cords are attached to and how they affect you. Very, very important. Feel it. Okay. Feel it. So candles, tea lights, those are good methods. I have seen people get very elaborate where they have two candles and they'll have like this string or something attached between the two candles, and then they burn one on, burn each candle, and eventually it catches a rope, and then the rope burns. I've seen some very elaborate ways to do this. Um, do it however you feel. Okay, use your imagination. However you feel like you need to do it, that's how you do it. There's no right or wrong way. Okay, so that's one method to use. Okay, another method can be used. Can be I like to use dowsing rods or a pendulum, but in this case, I usually pick dowsing rods over pendulums, right? So again, if you don't do your spiritual work using certain divination tools, don't worry about it. This is just for those who do use it. So for example, I have done sessions with people and even myself where I use my dowsing rods to dissolve the cords and I set the intentions. So let's say I intend that as the cord is released, the rods open up. And then when the rods open up all the way, it tells me that the cords are pulled from both sides. Or you set the intentions to close the rods, meaning as I command that the cords between these two individuals be pulled or erased, then the rods close. And as it closes, it tells me that the cords are dissolved completely. It's like closing the door, on that connection. So I've done them both ways. And sometimes I just make the command and let my higher self decide which way it wants it to move. Whichever way it's moving, I know it's the opposite way of, it's taking it out, right? So in those cases, let's say again, I want to pull all cords between me and this dry erase marker, Ashe. And so the rod's opened up, and then as the rod closes, I feel in my body as I hold the rods, I feel in my body where I feel the dissolving of the cords between me and the dry erase marker. And I'll wait until the rods close all the way. Boom. Felt it in the heart, felt it in the stomach. Good. So that's another method. If you use dowsing rods or tools like that, you can do it that way. Okay? And you see how fast it happened too. So we can do a candle wave, right? This method was really, really quickly. So when I do with other people, I typically use it this way because it's fast. Okay, some people like to work with pendulums. So I just have my pendulum. Oh, here it is. So pendulum can also be one way too. Again, it's all about intentions. I command all cords between me and this dry erase marker to be dissolved, Ashe. So because we're removing, the pendulum goes counterclockwise instead of clockwise. So usually when you're adding energy, it's going to go clockwise. When you're removing energy, it's going to go counterclockwise. And then it'll just keep going. Usually when you are pulling out energy or cords, the pendulum may start off kind of wide, right? And then as the energy is lessens and lessens, it should kind of get small until you get small circles. And then eventually it should go to a standstill like this. And then it might start kind of bobbing, like that to let you know that it's done. That's it. So that's another method that you can also use when you are doing cord cutting, cord dissolving. Okay. Now, keep in mind, y'all, I named it cord cutting because that's what most people call it. But notice the words I'm using when I'm actually doing it. When I'm actually doing it, I'm using dissolving, pulling, erasing. Okay. Keep that in mind. Very important. Very effective. Okay. What other methods I like to do? Also, you can use your imagination when it comes to actually using a cord or a rope or a string. Okay. So let's say I have two people that that's courted that want their cords between them cut, or it's somebody that reaches out that says, "Hey, I want the cords cut between me and such," right? Now, typically, I won't do this method because again, I like to dissolve the cords all the way, but some people like to cut, so you can also use that method. So in that case, you take the string, you tie it on to something, okay? Or you can tie between two objects if you want to. It's all about the intentions, right? So now I got it tied, and then I tell myself, this cord represents the connection between me and the dry erase marker. I no longer want that connection. It is now cut, Ashe. And then I feel the disconnect between me and the dry erase marker. Okay. Keep in mind, every time I do this, I tell you to do what? Feel it. Feel it. If you want it to be effective, you need to sit still and feel it happen, okay? The only time that you can probably do something and keep it moving is probably with the candle, but even then, I still say at least feel it initially, and then let the candle keep burning, and then over time, as the candle burns, you will feel the cords dissolving, okay? Now, when would you do a slow method versus a faster method? A slower method would be good if it's something that's like very emotionally heavy, right? So if it's something that's very emotionally heavy, I would recommend a slower method so that the emotions don't hit you too fast when you cut, dissolve, or someone said in the comments, eradicate. Okay. So sometimes a slower method is okay, especially if it's a deep emotional connection that you're trying to release. Okay. Because when you dissolve the cords, cut the cords, eradicate the cords, right? Sometimes emotions will surface if there's emotional connection with that cord. So a slower method might be okay. When it's something that you've already dealt with it emotionally, and you're just like, I'm just ready to just let it go. And like now I'm not even holding on to it anymore. That's when you can do the faster methods. Because now there's no reason for you to stay corded. Now you just gotta just do it and be done with it. Okay. So that method, the faster method works best when you're ready for it, when you're just like, I just want this gone. Okay. So pick the method, let your intuition help you with the method based on what you're going through, what you're trying to cut, dissolve, eradicate, erase from. Okay. All right. Another method um, can deal with this is mentally. So mentally meaning when you're meditating and you use your mind's eye to actually do it. So when you use your mind's eye, it can be a little bit more difficult if you have trouble concentrating. So you got to make sure you do this after you have quieted your mind, cleared your mind, um, you know, filled your mind with light. Like make sure you prepare so that you can concentrate. Be in a space that's quiet enough where you can actually focus, okay? Because if something breaks your concentration, you're gonna have to kind of go back and sometimes start over, or you're gonna have to kind of reset yourself and then start off, where you left off, okay? So it's best to make sure that you got the time and the space to actually do this in. So what you would do in those cases, right, is again, it's where your imagination come in, right? So if I'm doing this mentally, usually when I do it mentally, I'm using my words out of my mouth with my imagination along with it. So that means I quiet my mind and I see the dry erase marker that I'm corded to. And I say, yep, I don't want to be corded to that anymore. All right, I command the cords between me and that dry erase marker be dissolved. I say, and then in my mind, I see the cord disappearing. I see it just fading away. I see the cord disappearing and it's just going away. And then I feel it as I see it in my mind's eye. I feel the cord dissipating as I see it in my head, right? So this is a way that you can do it without using any divination tools, okay? Same thing can be used in the form of prayer. So I say the prayer. I pray that these cords between me and the dry erase marker be dissolved at this time. Amen, Ashe, Namaste, whatever word. And then I see it and I feel it. Or maybe I don't see it, but I said it, so now I'm just feeling it. Okay. So even if you don't see it, you can still allow yourself to feel it. Okay. So that's one of the mental ways you can do it. And be elaborate. Sometimes when I do it, I have seen myself with the cord, instead of it disappearing, I see the cord catch fire and the fire burns the cord in my mind from one end to the next. I don't usually control how it happens. I just make the command or I say the prayer and then I just let my mind show me how it's being done. Sometimes it's dissolving, sometimes it is burned. It just happens differently depending on, maybe what it is. So that's a good way to do it mentally. Okay. All right. So I want you at this time, before we do this, I want to give you a disclaimer. When you remove cords between you, especially you and other people, it's very possible that they will feel it on the other end, right? It's usually possible they're going to feel it on the other end. There's many sessions I have done with people to where we're pulling the cord between the two of them, and literally in the middle of the cord coming out, the other person starts blowing up their phone, starts calling their phone, starts texting them, starts reaching out while we in the middle of doing it. And then if they don't do it then it'll be like, once we hang up from the session, then I'll get a message like, oh my God, Bobby, you won't believe this. They reached out as soon as we got off, right? So keep in mind, the other person usually can feel it too. And if they are one of those people who want to be attached to you, they may reach out because they don't feel like they can, pull on your energy anymore. So remember, you have a cord that can go from one device to the next device that just shares data. And then you have another cord that can be plugged so that the other part receives power, right? So you have to ask yourself, am I corded to this person because we just exchange energy, thoughts, and ideas? Or am I corded to this person because I need their power? Or am I corded to this person because they're taking my power, right? So that would be a meditation where you may want to sit and ask, how am I corded to this person? And then allow your mind's eye, your higher self to show you how you are corded or let you feel how you are corded. I'm gonna give you an example. If let's say you ask to feel how you are corded to someone and you only feel it in the solar plexus. And the solar plexus represents what? Personal power. This is your core. This is your power. This is your strength, right? That means if you only got a core there, somebody's draining somebody's energy. Somebody's trying to attach to somebody's power. It ain't no love. It's just give me your power, right? You might be corded to a person that's a energy vampire, right? Could be, right? Especially if you don't feel good when you feel it. But let's say you feel it in the solar plexus and you feel it in the heart chakra and it feels good. Not that it feels bad, but it actually feels good. Then that means there's a mutual exchange of energy between you two. There's some love there, and there could be a mutual exchange of power between the two of you. Maybe the two of you actually help each other power up. Y'all kind of help each other boost each other, right? But again, it depends on how it feels when you feel the connection. If you feel heavy, it might not be a good chord. If you feel uplifted, it might be a good chord. But just make sure you're not the one that's doing the draining. Okay? Just saying. So, disclaimer, long ass disclaimer, but a disclaimer. When you pull those cords between you and another person, don't be surprised if they reach out. Sometimes right in the middle if you're doing it. It can be somebody from 10 years ago. And you may have a thought about them and say, I'm pulling those cords between that person 10 years ago. And then, boom, they hit you up. I was just thinking about you. No, the hell you not. Cord's gone. Okay. So when you pull those cords, that don't mean that you gotta interact. That don't mean that you have to answer the call. That don't mean that you have to answer the text. Okay. Once you pull the cord, if they reach out, that does not mean you have to answer. Leave it on red. Don't open it. Don't answer. Block. Whatever you need to do. But they probably gonna reach out. I don't know why it happens. It just does. Okay. So, do we want to do this now? I'll leave it up to you. I want you to think of a person, whatever person comes to your mind first. Now, mind you, you have to be accepting of what you may feel during this exercise, right? This means whatever you feel is how the chords are, not what you want them to be, but what they are, okay? And thank you for somebody in the comments said when they're reaching out, this is them trying to reattach. Thank you. I don't know how to remember that. Thank you for that. They're trying to reattach. That means they're like, that cord is gone. I'm trying to get that cord back. I'm trying to plug back in. Keep it moving. So when you think of a person and you ask yourself to feel how you're corded with them, you have to be ready to accept what those cords feel like. And they may not feel like what you think. Okay. Or they may feel better than what you thought. Okay. So ask yourself to feel how I'm corded with this individual. If you don't want to use an individual, you can also use like a place, like a place. How I feel corded with a situation, How I feel corded with a thought that comes across your mind. How do I feel corded about an item, a thing, right? If I got a dry erase marker, how do I feel corded to that dry erase marker, right? I want you to pick something or someone and ask yourself to feel how those chords, how you are corded with them or that. And take a little bit to feel it. When you feel it, you may feel it in one place, then the next place, then the next place. So give yourself time to feel the entire thing, okay? And just take a deep breath, relax, try not to think about it, just allow yourself to feel it. Okay, so the example I use is I say, how am I corded with class? Like just with class. How am I corded with class? Never did it before, so this is the first time I'm feeling it. Feeling in the feet, which means my foundation. This is like a part of me. This is what I do. This is part of the gifts I was born with. So I felt it in the feet. Makes sense. My mom is a great teacher. My daughters are great teachers. Makes sense to me. I would feel it in the feet, root chakra. And then I felt it in the solar plexus, right? I always feel good when I teach. Always. I always get happy, joy, blissful. I always feel real good when I'm teaching. So it makes sense to feel it there. Then I felt it in my throat chakra because I'm using my words. So it makes sense, using my words. And then I felt it also in the crown and third eye because, again, I'm connected to the divine when I'm teaching, and I'm also receiving from the divine as I'm teaching at the same time. So, and it all felt good. I felt good. It felt light. It felt tingly, right? So some chords you may be feeling feels good. Some chords you may be feeling don't feel too good. So just pay attention to how you feel it. Now, I want you, if you pick something that you would like to release from, then I want you to use your mental method, or if you have something in front of you, however you want to do it, I want you to use a method at this time to erase, eradicate, dissolve, cut, whatever, okay? If it's a person, remember, it's a possibility they may reach out to you, okay? But don't be afraid of it. Just be mindful of that. Okay, so let me pick something I want to actually dissolve from. I don't know, because I do this like every day. So, mm, oh, I know somebody. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to ask myself to feel corded to this person. Straight solar plexus makes my stomach feel like it's cramping up. Um, Kind of makes sense. Yeah, kind of like a drain. Makes a lot of sense. So now I'm going to use the method of, now I'm feeling my crown too. Yeah, let me hurry up and do this because I don't want to feel this. So now I'm going to use my method with the Dawson rod, right? And I'm going to command all the cords between me and that individual be dissolved, ashe. And then my stomach cramp went down. So my stomach is not cramping anymore. Feel it releasing on my head and in my legs. Good. That fast. All right. So if he texts me, I'm really like, ugh, you felt that shit. So use a method. dissolve it, whether it's in the mind or your words are combined, and then feel it, and then feel how lighter you should feel after you do it. I know y'all laughing, but man. So see how it feels. Now, this is the other thing I learned about doing this, right? Especially with people, is that sometimes you might dream about them too after you do this because it may show you something about them that you didn't pay attention to when you recorded to them. And now that you're not corded to them, you can see some things that you didn't see prior. So sometimes that happens too. Keep that in mind. Now, the biggest takeaway I want you to take away from this also is one of the big takeaways is make sure you don't limit these cord cutting methods to just people. I can't stress that enough. Do not limit your cord cutting, cord dissolving, cord erasing, eradicating methods to just people. You can have energy feeding into you from places too. Okay. I remember in a session I was doing, a person had they kept having these dreams about a location they were stationed, and they kept noticing the dreams weren't so good when they would have dreams about that location, right? And I said, that's because you're still corded to it. You still got an energy connection going on between you and that place. Like uncord yourself from there so you can release it. You're not going back there. You're not there. You don't like it. Your dreams are never good about the place. Just get rid of the cords between you and the place so you can stop dreaming about it and that energy feeding into you. So then we did that. And then as time went by, no more dreams. No more dreams about that place. You know? So you can be corded to a place. Let's say, so that's more so like a permanent, cord. But let's say you have a place that you go to, and when you went in, you felt really icky when you left. You left feeling like heavy, like, ugh, that place just gave me the heebie jeebies. I don't know. You just didn't feel good after you left there. You felt heavy. You felt like you didn't feel good. You can pull the cords between you and that place you just left so that you can stop the energy flow between you and that place. Sometimes when you go and visit a place, especially if you spend money or do some type of transaction at that place, it can cause a temporary cord between you and that place, right? Um, so I have example went to places to where that night after going, I had a dream about the place and I woke up like, oh, the hell was that about? And then my spirit team was like, you need to pull cords between you and that place because you still got energy attached to you from it. And I was like, oh yeah, I need to do that. So then I pull the energy, pull the cords between me and the place, and then I don't feel it no more. I'm good. No more dreams about it. Because I dream a lot, so sometimes if I'm corded to something that's bad, it'll show up in my dreams, and then I have to pull the cords when I wake up. So you can do that. Same thing with people, especially I said earlier before class started, if you are someone who have clients, you should be pulling the cords between you and your clients after every session, right? So let's say I have a client that's very angry. And this is how I kind of learned this. I learned this during the work. And they're very angry. And when you do the session, when I did the session, I noticed like 2 hours later, um, I was angry. I was just mad. And I was like, why am I so angry? Why am I so what the hell is going on? I don't even know what I'm mad about. And then I heard my inner voice say, could you still connect it to your client? I was like, oh, because they was pissed off. Now I'm pissed off, right? So I had to tell myself to pull the cords between me and my client so I can stop sharing the energy between us, right? That's the empath thing too. If you're an empath, this applies to you as well because you pick up on other people's energy, feelings, and emotions. So if you're on the phone with somebody that's heavy, or if you interact with somebody in public that's heavy, when I walk away, I tell myself to pull the cords between me and that person if I felt like I picked up on some energy that I don't want. Okay. If you have clients, do that too so that it doesn't develop cords that can become almost like permanent when it don't need to be. Also, just so you free your mind up and your energy up from your client, and it also frees them up as well. And that way, when your client is at home, they're not just constantly thinking about you. You're not constantly thinking about them when they're gone because that cord is no longer there. So let's say if you do massage, you may want to pull cords between you and those clients when you're done. Okay. So whatever they might have on them, you don't keep absorbing it. Items can be the same way. Let's say you was given a gift. And let's say you got that gift and that gift doesn't feel good. Maybe you feel like it was something attached to it. You want to pull the cords between you and the item. Let's say the gift was between you and someone, and then you no longer fool with each other, right? Kind of separate. You want to pull your cords between you and those gifts so that you're not absorbing the energy from them, right? So gifts, items, also are good things to pull cords between you and those things. Okay. And yes, someone said in the comments about releasing the energy back to your client. Yes, absolutely. Always release the energy back to your clients when you're done, or release them into the earth with whichever way you feel like doing it. If I'm talking to somebody with bad energy and they not somebody I would want to help energetically, I just release it back to them. You keep your bad energy with you. If it's someone I did a session with and their energy feels much better now that they're cleansed and the healing light is working through them, I might release anything I absorb into the earth. I don't want to give them the bad energy back because it would defeat the work that I just did. So I just use my intuition on how I want to do that, whether I give it back to them or give it into the earth. But yeah, giving it back. And I still pull the cords after I do that. Good or bad, I pull it. Okay. Okay. I think that's it. So I hope this class helped you open your mind up to understand chords on a broader level versus just on a people level. Chords can be attached to a lot of things, okay? Things, people, places, situations, relationships. Like, if there's a situation you want to be released from, cut the cords between you and the situation. Like, I don't want to be in this situation. I'm releasing myself from it. Don't limit your cord cutting to just people. That's all I typically ever see when we talk about it. It's just people. There are other things that you can be fed energy from unknowingly, okay? So if your intuition or your dreams, your thoughts are surrounded by other things except just people, consider doing cord cutting, cord pulling, eradicating from those places and things too. All right. Peace and blessings to you all. And I will see y'all in the next class. Ashe.